This is a September 22nd, 2016 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. A few announcements tonight. The first announcement is really a very long-awaited announcement. As you know, we've been working on solving the issue of the Hopewell Precision Superfund site, providing water to people in that EPA Superfund site. I did receive a call from Congressman Maloney this morning around 11 o'clock. He said the EPA has agreed to fund the project. The project is a rather large water main project. It's about a $30-some-odd million project that the Army Corps of Engineers will be doing, and the EPA has agreed to fund the first phase of $12 million. It's noted that it will be let out in 3 phases. I believe the total is going to be somewhere around $36,000, and the Congressman himself called me this morning to let me know that the EPA, well, not the EPA, it's a Superfund committee that sits at the behest of the U.S. Congress. So that is a very, very good thing. So. And one thing I will tell you, one thing is that Congressman Maloney has been working on this since he came into office. I think it was February, it was the first term. He met with us and said, what is this problem that we have with the Superfund site? We sat down, showed him the maps, and he told me today that the competition for the funding was very, very tough. He said there's a lot of these out there. A lot of them, I forget how many hundred are just in this EPA district. But he's very proud that he secured the funding for this project. And the fact that they funded the first phase is a commitment from the federal government that they will continue to fund it until they get the project completed. So again, thank you to Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney. We've seen this spoken about a lot, but we should have a shovel in the ground next year. So again, I think that's great news, and I'm just very happy to report that. Second thing, I would like to talk just a little bit about Hillside Lake update. We've applied for permits from DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers. We received comments back and forth. DEC basically told us last week that once we submit our negative declaration to DEC, they will sign off on the project. And that is on the agenda for tonight's meeting, to adopt the negative declaration, and then we will forward that to DEC, and they are fine with the project. Army Corps we haven't heard from, but they've said that they really didn't see any problem with it, so then we're going to do a follow-up with them. We're also going to authorize the bidding out of the project. And our engineering staff are still working with Renewage to hone out the fine details of the bid. It'll be hopefully bid, and I don't know when the award would be. I think it's going to be bid and then 3 weeks till award. So we're hoping to have that by sometime, I'd have to think, end of October. So that's moving along, and very happy. One thing I would like to talk a little bit about Hillside Lake, though. If we do get the approvals, we do get the permits, and we do go out to bid, being as it's almost October now, I feel confident we'll be able to get the construction part of the wetland project done. That's the wetland project with we won't do the plantings, but we'll do the stone, the concrete things in there, and get the basic filter project all built. I believe that next year we would probably install the plantings. And the biggest thing, too, is we've been talking with the people that will be doing the harvesting out at the lake. And it might be too late in the year by the time we get situated to do that. That might be a springtime project. But we want to make sure that we do it at the right time. I don't want to go out and do the harvesting and find out we should have done it some other time. So we're working with them. So what I'm hopeful this year is to get the construction part done. Next year, when the company says it's appropriate, we'll get the harvesting done. Then we will lay out the pipes in the lake itself for the inlet, the discharge, and the aeration devices. And that's why I'd like to see that all happen and be complete by June of next year. So that's what I'm hoping, and I think it's very, very realistic timeline. So very, very happy about that also. And one last thing I did want to talk about, because this is that time of year, where basically my whole life is budgets. Town budget, I will present the town budget to the town clerk's office on September 30th, and we've been doing a lot of discussion about budgets and highway and all the, and our road system and infrastructure over the last few meetings. I talk with people when I walk or when I see them out on the road, and, because I walk down the road quite a bit. And you'll see people say, okay, well, the property taxes, you know, if you do an increase in property taxes, how much property tax do we pay? Mark, would you just hit the lights there? This slide actually shows of your total tax bill, and it's a little deceiving because for whatever reason, the town of East Fishkill, as many towns, have the honor to collect school taxes. Why the schools don't collect their own school taxes? I guess I can understand why schools don't collect their own school taxes. It's the largest tax on the pie chart. The blue is the average of the school districts in the town of East Fishkill. That would be Wappingers, Arlington, and Carmel. And as you see, the school taxes are really the biggest part of your total tax bill. The town tax averaged out is about 9% of your total tax bill. So this is what we operate on. And again, I think that we do a great job. Sometimes I look what we provide to the public for the money, and I really do think that we do a good job of watching the tax dollars, and we provide services such as the police department, fine recreational facilities, and a host of other things. And the one thing that I believe we need to put more money into our road system. We've discussed this in the past. I've discussed it at the workshops with the board. But basically, I think that is something that East Fishkill deserves. I think it's very good roads. You look at the police department, it's probably one of the best police departments in Dutchess County or New York State. Our rec facilities are very, very well kept and very well run. Very good rec facilities, but I think our roads have been suffering with the last few years with the governor's tax cap. I know the governor instituted the tax cap for reasons he thought were appropriate, but what he really did is he hamstrung a lot of towns like ourselves as far as maintaining infrastructure. So I will submit my budget to the board. It will be within the I will submit my budget, to the town clerk next week. It will be within the tax cap guidelines. But I'm really going to urge the board to take a hard look, and as a group, we will consider if we do any additional funding for the highway department. Now, some people would say, oh, you know, it's going to be a tax increase, and we're not going to know where the money goes. You will know where the money goes. We're going to make I think will amount to a contract between our constituents and the town board and the highway superintendent to show you what roads will be paved if this is the route that we take. If we do decide to gather additional funding, I think you can see it, the effect of the paving drainage budget increasing from $600,000, which is what we do now, to about $1.4 million budgets. And you can see we've done the studies of the towns around us, the surrounding towns, and on the left, we are the lowest in LaGrange is a little bit higher, Wappinger, but they don't have a police force. We also fund our police force, and we're very proud to do that. But as again, I think that we're very, very conscious with our tax dollars. If we were to engage, if we were to appropriate or ask the taxpayer for funding over and above to increase our paving budget to $1.4 million, that would not leave us, we'd not be the lowest any longer. We'd be the third lowest from the group of 16 towns that we've taken, that we've done a study, an analysis, a comparison with. And I still think we're very, very efficient with our tax dollars. And I will tell you that nobody on this board takes our fiduciary responsibility more seriously than you can imagine. I mean, our people are very dedicated, and we are really concerned. But on the other hand, I believe we owe it to the public to have good roads. I drive down Lake Walton Road, which we just did, and that's a very nice road. I drive down Route 52, down where I live, and you can see they did a patch on the patch that they did 2 years ago because they're getting holes in the patch. And that's, in my opinion, I think that our residents deserve better than that. So we're going to look forward to this. We're going to continue to discuss this with the upcoming budget. And again, any appropriation above the tax cap I still think is fair and reasonable, and it would be a contract with the constituents, would be posted on our website, and this could be the start of an ongoing paving project, and every year, we would update it to show you the roads we will be doing, maybe doing a few years out, and so that way, if you want to know when your road's going to be paved, you take a look. So this is what I'm proposing to the board. And one point I would like to ask the attorney, Tom, in the past, New York State's always made a great fanfare about giving back their rebates. And I don't know when they come. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. Then they say they promise they're going to be coming. The New York State did not
There's
do
a
the
rebate check that will be coming this fall from the state, but that has to do with last year's town budget. And the state legislature has not funded rebates for the next fiscal year, so there'll be no rebates next year.
Okay, all right, and we're very cognizant of this. Again, we live here, we're cognizant of the effect of this on our taxpayers. So we take this very seriously, and I just want to let the board know, I will be presenting the budget to the town clerk's office on the 30th. It will be presented then to the town board for their discussion, and I'm sure we're going to be having some very lively discussions about funding next year's budget. So that's all I wanted to say on that. With that, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Councilperson Delisandro.
What happened? We didn't pay the bill?
Councilperson Franco.
Present.
Councilperson Marinaro.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present. Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. The clerk has been provided with the minutes of the August 25th, 2016 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Have there been any changes, additions, or modifications to those minutes?
They have not.
There have not. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of this August 25th, 2016 meeting as submitted?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The minutes have been approved. There's nothing tonight under receipt and file. Public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any item on the agenda? Please step forward.
Good evening. I had a question regarding the tax cap. In the past, the stipulation was if you broke the tax cap, the rebate wouldn't occur in that particular municipality. So I guess the governor or the state legislature created this cap. What is the consequence to the municipality if you go over and above the cap?
Without the rebate program, there is
none.
none.
Kinda-
The consequences
The
are...
rebate.
It's a futile thing then to make
Well,
a
the
cap then,
rebate
isn't it?
program was based on if you stay within the cap, the state would reimburse you the difference, but they didn't fund it. That was like a 2 or 3 year program, and they did not fund it again going forward.
So East Fishkill can probably be amongst many others that are doing the same thing.
The consequence is better roads.
Oh, yeah, no,
And to be honest with you,
I was wondering what would be the downside of going, other than
No,
a higher tax,
this is-
obviously, but I mean, it's
yeah.
kind of futile for the state government to create a cap.
we could have a long discussion about the
Okay,
cap.
you-
I gotta tell
you answered the question, there is
Yeah,
no
yeah.
state consequence.
But I do I understand the governor's intent, but he didn't follow up with the what was he going to do, mandate relief on the other aid?
We got none of it.
And so, we've got the cap, so and I think we've operated pretty well, but I just think, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that we do need to maintain the roads better,
Okay.
so that's my...
You answered the question, I wasn't debating
Okay.
the outcome.
Okay, thank you.
Better than the governor's roads. Look at it.
Well, like I say, I don't know how the state roads are all over, but I know that there's a few that I travel regularly that are a little bit bumpy. So anybody in the audience like to speak on any items on the agenda? There being none, no public hearings this evening, so we go to the resolutions. The first resolution is to authorize refinance of certain existing town bonds on annual savings. We have a certain amount of bonds that are out, mainly for our water and sewer districts. I think there's some general obligation bonds for our highway department from some years ago. So we don't have a lot of bonds out there, but our bond people did notify us that there's, as she said, excellent opportunity to refund outstanding bonds for the Series 2005, 2008, 2009. That is when the bonds were issued. There's going to be no change in the term of the bond, but we can refinance them to save approximately 1.8 million over the remaining maturity of the bonds, which from 16 to 39 is, what we got? 23 years, thank you, that's the controller. So over the next 23 years, we should be able to save $1.8 million bonds just by refinancing, as a lot of us have done with our houses. So I think this is a great opportunity, and I'm asking the board to authorize refinance of certain existing town bonds at an annual savings. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the board?
Yeah, I have, if Mark, I read some of the bonds through the years. I mean, some of these, they started in 2005, 2004. Some of the major ones, like there is a $10 million one from 2008, I believe. There is an 11 point something million dollars, 11.175. And it says for various town purposes. Can you just give us a brief analysis or a brief descriptions of the purpose of these bonds at a time?
It's almost exclusively for water and sewer districts, either building the Hamlet Sewer District across the street.
I think that's probably the largest one.
That's by far the largest.
absolutely.
Buying the Four Corners water, that was later on, I apologize. So we purchased some water
Fishkill
districts.
Plains.
Fishkill Plains. And made
Sagamore.
improvements to other
Sagamore.
water and sewer districts. As the supervisor mentioned, I think there was a highway bond as well.
There was a previous highway bond in there, too. Yep.
So that's
Can you give us a description about the highway bonds, why they were taken out?
There were two purposes. One was for
For
paving
equipment.
and the other is equipment,
For equipment,
highway
yeah.
equipment.
So, I mean, I kind of saw some of the previous budgets, and I know that highway was funded pretty much from one year to another, almost the same, from 2005. Why the additional cost of these bonds?
What is,
I think
you mean for the highway bond?
Right.
the
When,
choice was to fund the paving through other means or to fund the paving through
well, the highway bonds, Mark, when were they issued?
2005
2005?
and 2008.
Right.
Yeah, the 2005 one, I recall, that was to purchase several large dump trucks and do some paving. And I remember the financial person at the time in 2008 suggested we do some other bonding. I don't recall what the 2008 was for. Most likely, again, it was equipment and things of that nature, basically.
Just, I mean, I know that Mark mentioned it, and even in those budgets, it refers to paving. And the question is, I mean, if you go back and look, and we were going to sit and review those budgets, if the money was given to them, to that department for that purpose, I didn't see anything taken away at that time as far as funding that department. Why the additional cost of the bonding? Do we have any idea?
They must have done extra roads that year.
Yeah.
That was their way of going
Tom, I'm
above the
sorry.
budget on
I'm
that.
sorry, Tom. With all due respect, I'm asking the controller the question, so
But
if we could have the controller
but I would,
answer it.
but to this, I would point out, you're asking the controller a question from before he was controller. And even the 2005 bonds were issued in the previous administration. So I know that part of that was used for paving, to augment the paving budget. The 2008, I do recall that the financial person that was in charge at the time said we needed to buy equipment, and she was working with the highway superintendent at the time, and we were going to do some paving, and that's where that came about. I mean, I believe that we had several trucks we purchased and some equipment, and paving. So what you expected to see was a subtraction in the highway budget from paving
But
for
what
that-
I,
for that
what I
bond amount.
briefly saw reviewing some of those budgets is that the funding for one year to another was almost the same, identical. So, I mean, as far as paving is concerned, if the money was there, why go to the bonds? And I know this was before Mark's time, but just,
Well, what
I'm
was
sorry,
it?
what was the question, the gist of the question again? Why did we use the bond for paving?
correct.
Well, I believe, and I can't speak for the 2005 because I wasn't in office in 2005. I know in 2006, when I spoke with the finance person, the financial person who was in charge with the highway superintendent, they were going to purchase some equipment, and they thought they would use some of the money for paving. Obviously, we do not subscribe to bonding for paving, but it was just that they were going out for bonds at that time. I really can't speak to what the finance person and the highway superintendent were thinking in the 2008 issue.
I don't have an answer as to the specific motivation or
Just,
what was
just
accomplished.
for clarification, that's about it.
Anything else?
That's it so far.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, we have a motion. Madam Clerk, do I have a second?
You do.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Okay, opposed. Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution number 2 is authorized change of status of media technician from contractual basis to a part-time employee. Whereas the town operates Channel 22 as its municipal channel on the Cablevision system, and whereas our Cablevision technical person, Michael Miner, has been the operator for 2 years and has brought the channel up to high standards of the town, it is a desire of the town board to change the status of media technician from contractual to part-time employee. And now therefore be resolved that Michael Miner being hereby is appointed on a part-time basis as a media technician for the town at an annual salary of $31,500, which basically is the contract we have with him at this time. So there will be no increase in the overall budget for Channel 22. Do I have a motion to authorize the change of status?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 3 is to adopt a negative declaration, whereas town board is proposing the improvements to the Route 52 John J. Sewer area, and a long environmental assessment form has been prepared by the town planner. The town board has reviewed the project and reviewed the environmental assessment form, and based upon said review, the town board determines that no environmental impacts will occur, or if they occur, they have been properly mitigated. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor being hereby is authorized to execute a neg deck with respect to the proposed Route 52 John J. Sewer improvement area. Tom, would you give us the finer points of a neg deck? This just actually examines any environmental impacts from the project?
Right, anytime a public body acts, they have to review it under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. You have to identify if there are going to be any impacts, and if there are, what you've done to mitigate it. And if you're satisfied that any impacts you've identified have been mitigated, you adopt a negative declaration indicating that it will have no adverse impact on the environment.
Great. And this project, our planners met with the engineer, and they've gone through the project, and we have a notice of determination of non-significant, a negative declaration. So with that, do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration, with respect to Route 52 John J. Sewer Improvement Area? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion by the board? All those in favor respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. This is a very, very important project, and it's back on a little further down in the agenda. Resolution number 4, whereas the town supervisor will be submitting his tentative budget for 2017 to the town clerk's office, our town clerk, on September 30th, 2016, and whereas in accordance with law, certain timetables must be followed in order to fully consider said budget, whereas it is the desire of the town board to proceed in this process, Now therefore be resolved, the town board will hold a special meeting on October 5th at 3:30 PM for the sole purpose of the town clerk to present the budget filed by the supervisor to the board. Be it further resolved, the town board work session on October 13th at 7 PM will be devoted for the review and discussion by the town board, of the town budget. Be it further resolved that a public hearing to consider the adoption of the budget for the town and all special districts shall be conducted by this board at its regular meeting to be held on October 27, 2016, at 7 p.m. At said public hearing, the citizens shall also be heard with respect to whether or not additional funds shall be allocated that may exceed the budget cap. And be it further resolved that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized and directed to advertise and publish all appropriate public notices required by law. So we're setting our meeting dates for the adoption and the review of the budget. So do I have a motion to set the 2017 town budget public hearings and review meeting?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Councilman Marinaro, now that we're all educated on neg decks, would you like to read resolution number 5?
Adopting a negative declaration, whereas the town board is proposing an artificial wetland project for Hillside Lake, and a long-time environmental assessment has been prepared by the town planner. Whereas the town board has reviewed the project and reviewed the environmental assessment from, and based upon said review, the town board determines that no environmental impacts will occur, or if they occur, have been properly mitigated. Now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor be and hereby is authorized to execute a negative declaration with respect to the Hillside Lake artificial wetlands.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt this negative declaration?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion
and second. I gave it to
Motion carried. Madam Clerk, did we have a motion and a second?
We did.
Thank you. Peter, please. And this is very good. Adopting this negative declaration tonight, we will be forwarding it in formal adoption to DEC next week, so that's a very good thing. Number 6, to authorize advertisement. Oop.
You got it?
Did I miss one?
Yep.
Yes, I did. Advertise,
The bids.
oh, the
Bids for
bids,
Hillside
the
Lake.
bids, okay. Thank you. Councilman Franco, would you please read the next one?
Authorizing bid for Hillside Lake Artificial Wetlands Project. Whereas the town engineering department has met with Renewage, and together they are developing bid documents and standards to construct an artificial wetland. And now therefore be it resolved that the town engineer and Renewage are hereby authorized to prepare bid specifications with respect to obtaining a contractor for the construction of the artificial wetlands project. And be it further resolved that upon completion of said bid specifications and documents, that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized to advertise for the receipt of bids for these services, with the advertisement for the bids taking place at least 15 days prior to the date set for the receipt of bids. And be it further resolved, upon the receipt of the opening of the bids by the town clerk, the town engineer shall review the bids received and make further recommendation to this board with respect to the award of the same.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the bid for the Hillside Lake Artificial Wetlands Project?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next resolution is to authorize the use of town property for installation of a water tank for the Hopewell North Water District. Whereas the Environmental Protection Agency has fully designed a water system to resolve the contaminated water issues of the Hopewell Precision Superfund site, and whereas a part of that project, all infrastructure will be turned over to the town once it is completed, whereas the site for the proposed water tank system is owned by the town, and the EPA wishes town board's agreement this tank can be built on that site. Now therefore be resolved, town board does hereby authorize the Environmental Protection Agency to construct a water tank on parcel owned by the town, designated grid 6558-01-253735, and that said tank may remain there. Be it further resolved, the town supervisor be and hereby is authorized to execute any and all documents and agreements necessary to effectuate the intent of this board. Again, going back to this project, it has been funded, and this is one of the final things final steps the town has to take to make this project happen. And I tell you, I couldn't be more proud that we can actually get this done. So do I have a motion to authorize the use of town property for the installation of a water tank?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution number 8. Councilman D'Alessandro, would you read resolution number 8, please?
Set public hearing for the establishment of East Fishkill Water Improvement Area. Whereas the town board has determined that it is appropriate to form a water district for the East Fishkill Improvement Area, and any improvements constructed would only be paid for by those property owners who use the services. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts an order setting a public hearing in accordance with 209Q of the town law on October 27, 2016 at 7 p.m. at the town hall.
Thank you, Councilman. We actually received the document describing the map plan report for the establishment of the Route 52 Water District, sorry, kind of long day today, Commercial Water District last month, and I know that the board has a copy also. We need to set the public hearing for the establishment of this district. This is a very important district. As we talked about previously with the neg deck for the sewer project, which we'll talk about further in a few minutes, with the redevelopment going on down at the West Campus, with the dome that is moving along quite rapidly now. Their target opening is next May. And with the 300-acre subdivision of the Global Foundries parcel, it's very important for us to form a water district, and we will and soon enough be forming sewer districts. You cannot have economic redevelopment, you cannot bring industry into the town unless you have infrastructure. And this is what we're doing, and this is critically important, but this is a very, very good first step in providing water to those properties. So that being said, do I have a motion to set the public hearing for the establishment of the East Fishkill Water Improvement Area for October 27th at
So
7
moved.
p.m.?
Can't do it at 7,
Oh, I'm sorry. Why not?
immediately following the other public hearing. Can't open two public hearings.
Oh, which
at the
public
same
hearing
time.
did we have on that night? Oh, did we have another public hearing on for that night?
Budget.
Budget.
Oh, the budget public hearing. Okay, or any time thereafter, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very, wow, October 27th is going to be a busy night,
Could be a
Peter.
bad meeting.
I might call in sick,
call-
and you'll
I
have
was
to,
gonna beg
you'll
in
have to, you can't call in sick. All right, do I have a motion to set the public hearing for the establishment of the East Fishkill Water Improvement Area for October 27th at 7 p.m. or as soon as thereafter?
So
Maybe.
moved?
Thank you.
Second.
All those, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So much for that one.
Thank you. My goodness. Madam Clerk, we're good with this, right? We're going to have a couple of public hearings on night.
We're good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Peter, I hope you call in sick on that night. Anyway, only kidding.
I'd love
Only
to see
kidding.
that. Peter do the meeting.
Let's see. Where's him? Okay. Councilman Cassidy, since you've been so helpful tonight, would you read this next resolution?
I'm going to set a public hearing for the 27th. Award the construction bid for the Route 52 sewer improvement area. Whereas the town board previously authorized advertisement for the construction of the Route 52 improvement area, and whereas the said bids have been received and reviewed by the town engineer, and whereas the town board has received a summary sheet indicating all the bids received, be it further resolved that the town board hereby award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder as indicated on the attached sheet. Which is,
There's only one winner.
There was Scott.
Rurs Construction.
Roars Construction was the low bidder on the construction, and I believe there's only one bidder on the electrical. Black Electric on the electrical.
We're not
Scott?
awarding the electric tonight.
Oh, you decided not to award the electric tonight?
Next month, we'll award the electric.
Okay, that's fine. Scott, would you give us a little summary of the bids?
Yeah, we received 5 bids today, low bidder being Roars Construction. Roars has previously done a project for the town over at the old Lime Kiln Rec Center. We made a bunch of calls, we had a short meeting with them today, verified references, financial capability. They have some ideas to help trim costs once we get out there, so,
Wow.
We're confident we can bring this project in on budget.
Okay.
So, we are anxious to get going, and that's why there is a push. Originally, the job was going to be bid about 2 weeks ago, just give us a little more time, but then the health department had some late comments, so we kind of squeezed it at the wire so we can get the bid out and get the project going.
Okay. So now the health department has signed off on the plan, correct?
Yes.
And they did make some changes to the plan.
Yes.
Okay, and they've been incorporated, and Roars is the low bidder.
Yes.
Okay, and your wishes, would you like to make, I guess, should we authorize the rebid also in the same?
Well, we're not confident or
Oh, you're
sure
not
that we're
sure?
going to be a rebid at
We'll
this
just
point.
hold off on the award then.
Right, we only had one bidder. We're going to, first, we wanted to get this out tonight because this
Okay.
is important. There's a lot of advanced lead items that have to be ordered, so we wanted to get this out, and then starting tomorrow, we'll focus on the electric. So
Okay, very
this
good.
wasn't ready for tonight.
So tonight, the only award we will be making will be for the construction portion, and that would be Roars Construction. Okay, very good. All right, let's see. Do I have a motion to award the bid contract to Route 52 Sewer Improvement Area to Roars Construction, the low bidder?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right?
Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I ask why they do an alternate bid?
The reason we did the alternate was 2 routes. And one of the routes goes through a Con Ed easement, the other route goes along the DOT right-of-way along 52. Our preferred route is through the Con Ed right-of-way. But it's been a long time in trying to acquire that easement, so
Right.
because we're trying to move this project along, we wanted to have a backup plan.
Got it.
And
we-
as it turns out, it's not really a significant cost to
No.
go the other way, which, is that kind of a good thing in case
It's good to know.
we opt to go that way, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
And when will we make the decision on the final route?
Well, right now, the focus is on the pump station.
Right, so we can
And-
start construction
and-
there.
Right, that won't affect any of the equipment, the pumps, the structure.
Okay.
And that was always the intent, to try to get that pump station in before winter, and then it still gives us a little more time to work out the easements and decide on a final route.
Okay, very good. All right, number 10 is to award snow plowing contractors bids and winter sand. And we're also going to be scheduling a rebid. Councilman D'Alessandro, would you read that resolution, please?
Sure, whereas under highway law, the highway superintendent is allowed to utilize private contractors to assist him in the clearing of roads during winter storms. And on an annual basis, the town solicits bids for contractors to assist the highway superintendent. And bids have been received by the clerk and the town and are summarized on an attached schedule. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby accept and approve bids on the attached schedule for the contractors listed herein to utilize by the highway superintendent in the clearing of snow and ice in the winter season from the town roads.
Okay. I did want to make a note that 2 snowplow bids were resubmitted with minor inconsistencies. The highway superintendent is asking the board to accept these 2 bids along with all the other bids that we mentioned. And they were just minor, it's like somebody forgot to sign a page or something like that, and they came in to resolve these minor issues. So it was really proper to, allow them to bid because they were just minor inconsistencies. And there was no bids on the wing truck category. So the highway superintendent is also asking the town to rebid the vehicles for the wing truck category with a submission date of October
27th. Oh,
21st.
21st.
21st. So, and I know we have a copy of the bids that we will be awarding that were under, everybody has a copy of the bid results. And the ones that I think are highlighted would be the ones? Maybe not. Anyway, the low bids were accepted for the majority of the trucks, except for the ones we didn't receive any in the wing truck category. We're doing this a little bit differently this year. With previous highway superintendent, we actually did it per routes, and that got a little difficult because sometimes somebody was afraid they wouldn't get one bid, so they bid 2 or 3 routes. And that caused quite a bit of confusion when it was time to award them, to find out that they already committed to a route. So our new highway superintendent, Mr. McClellan, has requested that we change the bid procedure to go by truck, which makes a lot more sense and gives us a lot more flexibility. But unfortunately, we didn't receive any in the wing truck category, so we'll go out to rebid. So with that, do I have a motion to authorize the snowplow bids as received? And we would be doing the rebid for the wing trucks.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. I'm sure the highway superintendent is happy because you never know when it's going to snow.
So does the highway superintendent also pick then the routes? You assign
I
them?
believe they have established routes, and it gives them that flexibility.
Very good.
Oh, excuse me, highway superintendent's in the audience, and
You want sand?
I forgot to do that because that was the last-minute addition, and I do believe that I sent the board a copy of the sand bids.
Yes.
I know I emailed everybody a copy. Oh, here we are. And the low bidders for the sand bids would be West Hook Sand and Gravel at $14.50 at $14.50 a ton, wet screened, and Vail Industries at $14.75 a ton, air screened. And I think we did have a little discourse about the difference between wet screened and air screened. So do I have a motion also to award not only the snowplow trucks and the rebid for the wing trucks, but also to accept the bids for the winter sand and ice control?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 11 is to authorize release of a bond for Arthur'sburg Plaza. Councilman Franco, would you read the resolution, please?
Whereas there was a bond from Gasland Petroleum Incorporated that has been previously posted for the Arthur'sburg Plaza, and whereas Gasland Petroleum Incorporated is requesting a release of the remaining bond of $50,000, and whereas all work has been completed on said site and the town engineer has recommended the release of said bond, and now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized to release the cash bond posted with respect to the work being performed at the Arthur'sburg Plaza in the town to the property owner.
Thank you, Councilman. Now, we do have the request from Gasland Petroleum. Town engineer, Scott, do you concur with this bond release?
Yes, we had one item to complete, which was some fencing that they're going to get done next week, so we won't make the actual disbursement until they complete that.
Okay, and everything else has been completed on the list?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Do I have a motion to authorize release of the bond for Arthur'sburg Plaza?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Councilman Cassidy, would you read the next resolution, please?
Authorizing the release of maintenance bond for Four Corners. Whereas Section 2 of Four Corners was previously built in accordance with specifications and standards approved by the Town Planning Board, and whereas the roads within Section 2 were previously accepted as public roads and a maintenance bond posted, and whereas Toll Brothers is requesting the maintenance bond be released, now therefore be it resolved that the maintenance bond posted for Section 2 of the Four Corners subdivision in the town of East Fishkill be and hereby is released, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is authorized to return said maintenance bond to the developer.
Thank you, Councilman. And again, we have a copy of the request from the developer, and we have town engineer's memo supporting the same, with the highway superintendent and the town engineer both supporting the release of this bond. That being said, do I have a motion to authorize release of the maintenance bond for Four Corners?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the matter?
Yeah, the 7 catch basins.
Yes.
Did they give you a date when they're going to do it?
Yes, within the next few weeks. They're doing a lot of work there right now. They started, Bill and I were out there today, and just to revisit that, but we have a letter here that they're committing to do it, so.
Okay, great.
Again, this won't be physically released until they've completed that work.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I do have one from the floor, and this is to adopt another neg deck, and this one now is for a water tank that we will be building in the recreation area. We have a water tank there now, and I think we're going to be having a water tank right next to it. Scott, would you like to talk a little bit about that water tank project?
Yeah, that's just to expand our storage capacity at the Hamlet sewer. I'm sorry,
The
Hamlet
water.
water. And, we have new development in the area across the street. We're looking to supply Toll Brothers their additional needs and any other need that might come along. So right now, we're beyond capacity, actually, so.
Okay.
We're gonna put a sister tank right next to the existing tank, and that will give
Okay,
us
and
full
this-
fire protection. And, if you remember, at the fire we had not that long ago, we drained that tank in a short while, so that's gonna.
Which fire is that?
At William Tell, we drained our tank in no time, David Tell Hardware.
Oh, that's true, that's
Yeah,
true, yeah.
So it's going to give us,
A
ample fire storage.
little extra.
Yep.
Okay, very good. We're going to put that out to bid.
Yes.
Presently, I think the Department of Health made some minor comments on the project.
Yeah, we're pretty much clear to go with the health department, and I think October, whatever the date is in October, we're going out to bid.
Okay, very good. So, do I have a motion to accept the neg deck on regards to the water tank project in town recreation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. My goodness, we've done a lot of neg decks tonight.
So, Scott,
Yes,
the tank is gonna go where exactly?
right next to the existing tank.
Which is where?
Down in the
Behind
recreation,
the roller hockey,
Okay.
along the walking trail, and the
We have
fenced
a
area.
fenced-off
existing
area
fenced
there.
area.
and we do have room in that area down a little further to build the new tank right in the fenced-in area,
Yeah, it was
correct?
always set up from original design that there could be a sister tank there.
Well, they
so,
did?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, and that's where it'll be going. Okay. Budget transfers, I'd ask the comptroller, any budget transfers this evening?
Not tonight.
There are no budget transfers this evening. Now it's time to take public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience like to speak on general town issues?
Good evening. John, going to talk about Lake Road again and the fact that I almost got hit twice walking on Lake Road. People are flying by there. They're doing, I guess they're doing the best that they can, the police officers. But again, I'll say it's not enough. So I'm going to ask again, can we do anything with speed humps?
With,
You know,
I'm
I-
sorry, with lowering the speed limit?
I'm sorry, John.
Lowering the speed limit or speed
It's
bumps?
not a,
Which
say
did
it
you,
again.
which did you ask? I'm sorry.
yeah, no, what I'm asking for is that it seems that no matter what, stop sign is not effective. I got a video on the phone right now. I sat in front of, on Lake Road for 10 minutes waiting for somebody and videotaped at least 5 cars that just, the same people basically that blow the stop sign are the same people that want to use that road as a racetrack, okay? I almost got hit. There's other people that walk that road, and I think the only thing at this point that's gonna be effective are speed humps. So, I know you had mentioned that you were gonna mention it to the highway superintendent.
I'll discuss this next week if I can meet with the highway
I
superintendent. discuss the
would
speed
appreciate it,
humps.
John, because something really needs to be done. Nothing is working. I mean, I've seen stop signs in Poughkeepsie that I guess they work on solar. They got blinking red lights.
Okay.
I don't know if a stop line on the word stop on the floor.
On the ground?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous.
But I will tell you, it's not just Hillside Lake. All
I know.
all over town, we have people in the police department that go all over town for different speed
Yeah.
patrols, as we call them.
Yeah.
And it's not just Hillside, like,
No,
there's
I
so
know,
many.
John, and
It's-
that's why,
And it
you know-
seems to be just people these days, and everybody's in a
I
hurry, nobody
agree.
stops,
Listen,
yeah.
I find it amazing. I would just like to ask these people, what is it that possesses them to think that they don't have to stop for the
Hmm.
stop sign and continue to accelerate around that road? I just don't understand it.
Okay.
But it needs to end. As far as the work commencing at the lake over there,
Yeah.
am I going to be affected? Is my property going to be affected any more than,
No,
any-
it shouldn't be.
any
We're not
sediment or?
Not gonna be doing anything in the lake itself until, and they're just gonna go out with boats and lay the pipes, and
Okay.
even at that, they're just gonna weight them and just put them in the ground, so
all
there's not
right.
gonna be anything in the lake.
There was talk about a catch basin on Lake Road. I think that if Scott remembers, we spoke about it. I don't know, do they plan to do anything with that? Do you know? Right
Part of this
opposite,
project,
is it?
as part of this project, I don't think so.
No, probably the previous project, which had a much larger scope, and maybe it had to do with the dam and the spillway, was that?
What exact location are you talking about?
Right opposite that little pond that I have, where actually the water comes down Lake Road and then.
That would not be part of anything to do with this project.
Okay, so I gotta ask that. You want me to give you a call rather than discuss it here now? We need a catch basin.
Well, that is really something for the highway superintendent,
Okay,
so.
I'll give him a call
We'll
about it
discuss
then.
that.
Okay.
And you know, Scott, you know which,
Yes.
Catch
I
basin
think-
we're
I think I
discussing.
heard something
Okay.
like that, yeah.
all
Yeah,
right,
actually, what it's doing is it also erodes the road, and because what happens is the water comes down Lake Road, it veers off to the right, and then it takes all the dirt, and then the road gets undermined. I don't know if it was Bill or whoever it was had to come and fill it up, and it's a process that goes on, which also allows all that sediment and everything to come into my property. So
Okay.
with some, I think would take care of that.
okay.
I got to ask you about, you had mentioned about $62 a year, I think it was.
To fund a paving budget of $1.4 million, yeah.
So-
That's $62 for an average house of
Approximately.
$300,000 house,
Okay.
because it's an average.
So that money going forward after 15 years is not going to be $62 anymore, am I right? I mean, if material and everything goes up, I could see $62 becoming $150 and more.
Well,
Am I-
if you talk, I mean, we look at our budget every year, we adjust our budget up and down as far as different expenses. That would be embedded in the highway paving budget. Would that go up? I don't know, it depends. You
I
know,
mean, over 15 years, I would think that, $62 is not bad, but what happens if it becomes $400?
No,
To keep
but-
up with it
Yeah.
all.
I know what you're saying,
Go ahead.
but that 62, it's only a one-time raise. The following year, we wouldn't raise it again.
Wouldn't do that again, it's just once.
It's
What do
just
you mean?
once.
I don't follow you.
Once you do that, it's part of the highway budget, and
Yeah.
that's where it stays forever. We'll be looking at taxes for the rest of our lives here, but that would just stay at $62 in that budget.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Okay.
go back and say,
Okay.
okay, prices went
Yeah,
up,
no.
now
Right.
let's get another $100
Right.
now.
No? Okay.
No.
You mentioned about the sand, or Bill mentioned about the sand. I don't know. In Wappingers, I see what appears to be yellow sand. I don't know when we started with this coarse sand that we have that's dirty, filthy. And when I say filthy, I mean that it's sort of muddy. So when the spring comes, we got dust clouds. Is there any, can we use a different type of sand?
Well, I think they use sand, and I'm not the highway superintendent, but I can't speak for
More
them.
like gravel.
But we look for, when we look for winter sand, we look for something that's going to have grit, that's going to have some traction for you, and that's what it's all about. And I don't know, some of it's washed, some of it's air dry, there's different types of sand.
I could tell you,
But,
John, that whatever goes down is filthy, and comes this spring, it really has an effect on, I don't think I'm the only one. The houses get filthy from it. Maybe they can use a cleaner sand, or, I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
you
know.
can look into it.
Yeah, we have adjusted the spec.
We
Huh?
have adjusted the specs?
Yeah.
Okay. Two, yeah.
So,
The air fine has finer particles in it, correct? And the other one is a wetter sand, because,
so
would you
I'm
like
not
to,
so,
would you like
out
to
of- out of
elaborate, or we
line
could
then.
talk about that another time? Okay.
So they made a correction? Is that what you're saying? Okay. I think that might be, one last thing, John. The garbage pails. We got a lot of regulations in this town to keep things, aesthetically nice and everything. I know I brought it up in the past. It's becoming an acceptable, I don't know, not method, but an acceptable way for people now to start leaving their garbage pails at the end of the road. And I think that something needs to be done about it. I think that people should bring their pails back. I hate to use the example about the Legends. I hate to use it, I hear it, but I gotta use it. I think that if somebody in the Legends complained about that, something would be done about it.
I don't think that's really what government should be doing, is telling people to bring in their garbage cans.
Well, John-
Legends or Hillside Lake,
John,
Bob, sorry.
let me say
Yeah.
this to you. The planning board or zoning board or whatever, they got all kinds of rules and regulations to make things, I hear them talk about where is the dumpster gonna go?
Right, and commercial property
Come on.
dumpsters are very important. They want them accessible, they want them covered, they don't want to see them in a commercial zone.
Right, they don't want them visible, they want them clear. Why do you think that shouldn't apply to a development? And again, I'll tell you, it's not, the garbage pail is not pleasant to look at to begin with. And then when you got people that don't care and leave it right at the road, and you drive down the road and you're looking at garbage pails.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody could do anything about it really but you. I really think they ought to pass an ordinance about it. Maybe you guys could discuss it and see if there's,
It's a balance. I mean, maybe there's reasons people can't bring in, I don't, personally.
John, I understand.
But, Bobby, there is rights. People have rights to their house. They pay taxes, I'm going to tell them.
Well, you know what, John? I think I also have some rights too,
Yeah.
not to have to be subjected to certain things. And I think that, the zoning and planning board is an example of that they want things a certain way. So, I think it's something that you guys could take a look at. I think there's a lot of people that are not pleased with the fact that they got to look at garbage pails when they go through a development.
Okay.
And I understand, yes, there might be people that elderly, that can't do it, or, well, if there's exceptions. But to go and drive around and see them out, it's,
Okay. We
If
underst-
go ahead.
understand your point.
but what I'm asking is if you guys could discuss it and see if it warrants any kind
Well,
of,
the planning board, they look at the commercial garbage containers because commercial refuse brings rodents and many other things, so
Yeah.
that's the reason why they do
but
that.
it's also for aesthetics, I'm sure.
Well, that would be the architectural review board would ask them to put it in, maybe towards the back of the building or whatnot. But it depends if the plaza's being utilized for food or for an eating establishment. They can't have the refuse by, the front of the building.
Well, I ask you, for those people that really don't appreciate looking at it, I think that we have some rights too, and I think that you guys are the ones that need to defend that,
Okay.
all right? If you could talk it
Okay.
over and see what you could come up with. I don't think it's very pleasant.
If I leave my garbage can out at the end of my road, I'm going to have to call you up. I'll take your picture. Highway superintendent's going to give us a little lesson now on sand.
Good
Yes.
evening. My name's Bill McClellan. I'm the highway superintendent of the town. Couple things, in the past, we've had fines in our sands, so that's why we have two different companies that we bid it through.
Yeah.
So if we happen to start seeing more and more fines come through on our product, we can go ahead and switch companies.
And Bill,
It's,
what do the fines do? Is that the dust we see? Is
Fines
that
do a
the...
couple things. Number one, it plugs up our sanders, and number
Okay.
two, it creates dust and mud on
Oh,
the
and that's the
roads.
mud that Bob was talking about.
So when you go to sweep them, you have a cloud dust. When people,
Yeah.
zip down the road, the same thing.
Okay.
The second thing I'd like to talk about is, we have a gentleman that's Eagle Scout, Mr. Lacamita. He lives off Lake Walton Road, and I believe his mother is also an employee of the town. Starting Saturday, he's going to start his Eagle project, which is identifying all the hydrants, the fire hydrants in town, and placarding on the road, painting a blue hydrant symbol.
Good.
So him and his father and a couple of the Eagles are very excited about this. I think it's great for the fire district. They can identify where the hydrants are. It's great for the town, great for the town residents. So I'd like to thank him.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, any other comments on general town issues? There being none, any comments from the town board?
One comment. I'd just like to thank all the people who sent emails and calls to me on, about the Spotlight on East Fishkill. Thank you. And also any calls that I've received about meetings and information, I thank you too, because that's what I'm here for, to give you answers if I can. So just want to thank the residents who've done that.
Yep. Very good, thank you. Peter?
Just want to thank everybody, and we had another great community day. Just like to thank all the participants and everybody that came.
Very nice day.
Best
Beautiful
weather we've
weather.
had in 20 years.
Yep, yep, very good, very good.
Just to echo
Anybody?
that, thank you for everybody coming out on Community Day. It was a very nice day. A lot of fun, great to see a lot of people out there. And it's nice to do something great with this community. I know we have a very safe community and our police do a wonderful job, but like I've told the supervisor, what really makes this town great are the people. We've got great, great people here in the town of East Fishkill, and it's a pleasure to serve them.
Thank you. Councilman Marinaro?
I have no comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one last vote of thanks again, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney. When I first took office, I was first elected, took office January 1st of 2006. The year before, I attended a lot of meetings in the event that I possibly would be elected. And one of the meetings in December was over, I believe it was at Gayhead School here, on the Hopewell Precision Superfund project, and that was 11 years ago. These things take time, but I tell you, I can't thank Congressman Maloney enough, because I really think it was him and his staff that got this thing done, and it's very exciting. We're actually going to put a shovel in the ground next year. So with that, I'm going to ask the board now to adjourn to executive session. We have to discuss contractual matters. So thank everybody for coming. Do I have a motion to close the town board meeting and adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We shall adjourn to executive session. Workshop, October 13th, and the regular meeting, October 27th. And Peter, how many public hearings do we have on that night?
Too many.
Too many. Okay, thank you very much.